LG with reset pylon comps. The Jinx makes a lot of sense for them to try and get that first kill and start just slamming through the team fights.
Right, Jax locked in very early on in the draft. Obviously, a flex could go to Heng in the jungle, but I mean, to be honest, this isn't a pick that the team has played a lot of. 3 games for the entire team. 2 for Heng, 1 for Wayward. But blinding it anyway, and then going to follow it up with FoFo getting a strong control mage in the Hui.
And, still nothing about this Azir just yet. The Hui being a very long-range mage in the mid lane, and one that the teams have practiced around an awful lot, very much helps. In WE, we've already talked about them being the artillery team. Been a big point of them. Stay away from me. They want to be playing from the other side of the team fight. OMG, they want to be closing that distance. We've got ourselves a bit of a charge of the Light Brigade coming through, and we have a Thresh. Okay. So a bit of a way into and out of the fight. The Jinx Thresh, a very old school combo, keeps the Jinx more mobile than she already gets to be when she gets excited. She, of course, doesn't have a dash in her own kit, especially since Gale Force has been removed. The Thresh can help you get away from something like this Jax. Jax hates playing into Thresh if you have to blow your flash or your Q already to get onto an AD carry.
On top of that, Thresh also just an absolute signature of Ppgod. It's not been a part of the meta for a while, so if you've been watching the recent splits, maybe you don't know this, but he's got 51 games of Thresh over his career and a 60% win rate across it. But it's answered with Lwandy taking Blitzcrank, and this is, you know, Thresh is an old school pick. Blitzcrank is an old school Thresh counter.
And I love this too, because Blitzcrank can, you know, silence you when you go to take the ward, and if you click the Lantern, you aim at the Thresh as the Blitzcrank, and you can pull the AD carry out of their flight towards that support. There are some outplay opportunities there. It's also a roaming support for Lwandy, which once again fits into how WE want to play the game. They need to get through laning phase, they can't afford to get just shoved in, forced under tower, so we have to see what lane-dominant picks they can bring out that can contest with the Jinx. I'm imagining something like the Aphelios hits the ban list here, because if Stay picks that one up, you have the Graviton into the Blitzcrank hook, and it means you can also kind of scale alongside the Jinx and also benefit from the Infinity Edge buffs too. It wouldn't surprise me for that to be on the table for Stay.
It wouldn't surprise me at all either. I'm excited to watch this mid game now though. I mean, WE, Lwandy, most specifically, already known for roaming a lot, trying to make things happen around the map. Certainly Blitzcrank could be a pick to make that happen, but the Kai'Sa banned away. Won't be surprised to see a second AD carry banned away from Stay. Weirdly, I think one of Stay's best AD carries that we saw this split was actually the Xia. I don't think it really works in a Blitzcrank lane necessarily, but certainly a scaly pick.
Does that mean it's Jhin time? Does it mean it's full artillery time? It could be Jhin. You're looking for something that can just help kind of combo up with the Blitzcrank if possible. Yeah. And again, play at long range.
Incredibly strong laning phase.
It's hard to outlane something like the Jinx and the Thresh. I mean, if you play towards the side, it can be... It's a strange matchup into the Thresh and the Jinx, because you are outranged. You got to have some balls, Joe, to play that one out, which is why I wonder whether you're going to have to play something like the Jhin. It has been a WE special. They've been picking it more than any team in the LPL. We both have now very long-range AD carries, which can hopefully synergize up with their hook supports.
So Stay bringing out a staple of his champion pool in that Jhin. Incredibly strong during the laning phase. I think often people forget quite how much of a bully Jhin can be during the laning phase. Jinx takes a while to scale up. So, solid bot lane there for WE as Taliyah locked in for Angel. This is one of the picks that he's been playing all year long. Lets him influence the rest of the map.
So now we have last pick jungle, XiaoFang, rookie on the roster. OMG, the whole topside changed from last year. This player has really stood up to the shadow of Urki left behind on this team. Looking in that Wukong, again, it's another pile-on pick. You got a global from mid lane, you got Ppgod being able to start things off with a hook. If a hook lands, this game explodes from both teams. I love that. It means that basically we're waiting for just that one cataclysmic skill shot to land, and everyone else to follow up from either a mile away from WE to fling themselves into the fray. We do have ourselves top lane Rek'Sai coming in from Wayward. This pick, if you haven't seen it, it's been played a little bit in the PCS and quite a lot in Europe as well.
LCK
this champion
as well now.
And LCK too. The thing is, you get the 2 items of the Sunfire and Spirit Visage, and because the changes to Rek'Sai, she is less of an assassin, much more of a drain tank healing bruiser. You get your rage up, you go burrow, and once you're at 2 items, you are healing 900 HP per full rage bar. You can be so immovable from the team fight. You just hit people and you get all your HP back.
It's kind of... You think Set has a free Warbox. Wait till you see Rek'Sai. That's all I'll say. The regen is absurd. Wayward on that All-Pro team, getting kind of the flavor of the month top laner. We'll see how he's able to do, pulling that one out to head towards our first series. And I just want to point to that Talia in the mid lane once more. I mentioned that it's one of Angel's staples this year. He's played 5 games of it, 100% win rate, 35 KDA on the pick. Angel's Talia has been insane this year. He has been the star of OMG, and he's got a signature pick to try and start this series off in the fashion that OMG won.
So, both these teams, they are sticking to their identities. We laid them out earlier. Stay away from me. Play artillery. Play from range. Team WE. Lane dominance, topside, roaming support. That's what they've locked in. This is good. They know what they have been succeeding with. OMG, they want one reset and all hell breaks loose. I think they got the tools for that too. Both teams staying the course. I'm trying to see how things come out in game 1.
Well, the fans are ready for postseason to begin, and Lwandy isn't as Cube charges forward towards Stay. It's going to be the ghost burned from Stay. He should be able to get out with his life here. Straight off of the bat, aggressive level 1, 2 hook champions in the game. You always know level 1's going to be scary.
So, we've got ourselves those summoners burned. What does that mean for laning phase? So the thing is, when you're playing against these hook champions, yes, a lot of the time the threat is what happens if you already CC'd and then the skill shot comes through, because it's kind of guaranteed at that point. But the other way is, you know, both these AD carries are ones without dashes, without a huge amount of low cooldown safety. So that ghost can be used to kind of like outpace someone like a Blitzcrank running towards you with the W active once you hit level 2, level 3. It's kind of important. Maybe we now see there's an angle for these junglers to head down towards bot side as well. We're going to have XiaoFang starting on the top side of the map, Heng starting on the bot side, and of course WE's jungler doesn't tend to hang towards bot side themselves. They tend to go towards Wayward to set up his laning phase.
They certainly do. And on that Rek'Sai, we'll see how he does. Ppgod enable though, wanting to start off strong with potentially a hook, potentially a bit of damage coming out, bit of poke to start the lane off. You do always have to be a little cautious with the Blitzcrank in the mix. As the Flay comes out and Stay already taking hefty damage in this level 1 trade. Abel stacks up the lethal tempo as well. There's no way WE can keep that one going.
So you might be asking, why didn't Lwandy throw the hook? Because Ppgod played that fight so well. Has the Flay, can immediately proc the aftershock, and then at that point, Lwandy, you cannot afford to land the hook onto Ppgod. You have to land it onto Abel, but Ppgod is playing Bouncer, playing Bodyguard, and they forced them off of the wave that way. Good bot lane, level 1 play from Ppgod on one of his real classic playmaking picks.
So Wayward, in the meantime, does get pushed under the tower. That's one thing you do expect in this matchup is Udyr is still going to be able to find, but there are very few matchups where Udyr doesn't find push in the top lane. Rek'Sai not bringing a whole lot of wave clear to the early levels. It's much more about just withstanding that laning phase. Heng, though, we should talk about this Jax jungle, actually, because we have to remember, this was their first pick of the draft. This was a blind pick that obviously could be flexed up towards that top side, but Heng, having that Jax jungle that has been a carry jungle, it started as a Xin counter, but honestly, we've seen it more and more across the split as just an individual pick.
It definitely feels like there were some training wheels on this pick in the form of playing it into Xin. You can ignore a lot of his auto attacks and kind of contest with his early game, scale into the game. Feels like after that point, though, a lot of players have just gotten very comfortable with it. As you said, Team WE, not a team that have really prioritized it. You really think of, you know, Na'Vi, Shun, and Milky Way as the big players of that one. We'll see whether Team W have added this one into the arsenal during the break between regular season and those playoffs. I
do think it's an important pick to have in your arsenal, though. If your game plan is going to be playing with things like Jhin as one of your predominant carries, you do need damage elsewhere. You kind of needed Heng to be on a carry jungle, right? If you're going to play Rek'Sai top, you're going to play Jhin bot, like later on in the game. Without having that Jax in the mix, FoFo would pretty much be your only significant damage source.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because Wayward typically plays a lot of those carries, but the thing is that Jax, it is on a player that doesn't hang towards bot side. We will see whether there is a play now.
Ppgod getting vintage with it. The flash flay to start the fight. What a hook! What a hook from Lwandy. It doesn't lead to anything more. But he finds the gap in the minions there, just about on the edge of range. Stay, now no flash, but Ppgod no sums either.
Okay, but now can we see a Jax flashing onto this flashless Thresh? I think we can.
There's the route from the W, and Heng flashes in to get the stun. First blood on this carry jungler.
There we go. First blood of the series goes to WE, and it's in the bot lane. Not always the place where they are focused on. They typically like to go towards the first grub swarm, which is spawning right now. But still, kill onto Thresh just as Thresh flashes forwards. You'll take that one every day of the week. Sadly, it doesn't go to the Jhin in terms of getting gold to help them get themselves that first item power spike, which Jhin typically tends to have. But still, good start here from WE. We'll have to see if they can go towards this grub themselves. It's kind of harder to do that, though, with Wayward not being on that early pushing matchups he did mention a little earlier. We were saying, hey, we're waiting for what's going to happen with this first objective spawn on the top side of the map. It hasn't really been the point of conflict right now.
No, not just yet. But like you say, grub's only just getting onto the table. You'd expect OMG to be the favorite in terms of going for those grubs. In the meantime, though, WE getting out onto the map, potentially hoping to punish Angel. He'll be about to hit level 6 here. You can see FoFo already 6. Angel must have missed a couple of minions of XP at some point. But XiaoFang starting these grubs off, and in the meantime, WE answer with a Drake.
And this is now a really dangerous prospect for OMG, because they have lost summoners in bot side, and that means it's much harder for them to force on to stay. He's getting towards a Shiv. Once they get that Shiv, it is so hard to pin this Blitzcrank in lane. And already you can see that Lwandy is feeling like he can roam up into bot river, roam across that map. Lwandy on the roam is a fantastic support player, and how WE found a lot of their victories in mid-split. Need to track where he's going to go, but he's very low HP here. Needs to be very careful.
Yeah, he's also going to be walled, so he can't get out. He used his flash to get the previous kill, and Angel has an easy one laid up on a silver platter. Angel now kind of out of position himself, as a hook from Lwandy could come on through. Root lands. It's Ppgod. Actually, Angel flashing forwards and gets the flick back as well. Ppgod trying to follow up onto it. And the hook lands once again. Ppgod, he just don't miss.
Oh, and OMG scream back into life with 2 kills of their own after giving up first blood. It comes from the global from that mid lane. Angel able to respond very, very quickly to the bot side of the map. I was very worried for a second about OMG kind of dealing with Lwandy being able to get out of lane, but they find a window where Heng's pushing up really too aggressively. Lwandy just can't get there in time, and just kind of a jungle disconnected from their support. OMG punished very quickly.
I love the way that they snowball the fight as well. Angel flashing aggressively to get that second kill. His Talia looking good once again. Cube, the target here is a flash unburrowed to get the knockup. Ultimate available, and that's a Void Rush and a half. Cube, not long for this world here, as Heng just going to be playing to deny anything. And there we go, final shot coming out to finish the kill.
You know, I like to... Oh, that's a good hook, though. It might be a kill here. No, there's no summoners. Not going to be the case. Hook misses on the other side. Look, whenever I see that Jinx is level 6, I just think, whenever a hook lands, you got to be very, very careful.
Yeah.
I like to refer to the Rek'Sai as kind of the whole kit of this champion just reminds me of a public transport system. I'd really like to see like a tube train Rek'Sai where like every single one of the tunnels and the ultimate are just different forms of trains just flying out of the station as you fly across the map.
Thomas the Tank Engine style.
Yes, wonderful.
You can just hear the pipe organ already in the distance.
Can you just imagine, mind the top gap?
XiaoFang could be in trouble for a second here. Pretends to turn into a clone, and it works! He gets out with his life, then blocks the W with his actual clone. Nicely done there by XiaoFang to keep himself alive as Angel starts to hover down towards this bottom side. Ultimate not available on this Talia, threatening a potential dive. XiaoFang is level 6. There we go. Cyclone under the tower. The rocket's in, but Lwandy's still alive. Dodges the zap. Cyclone comes in once again, and the Lantern out to safety. Clean as you like from OMG.
Oh, such good tower aggro juggling. Is there any response? I don't think there is, really. FoFo would have to hit himself some CC, and that's not going to be the case with Abel. Popping that go. So OMG, great tower aggro juggling, and it's going to be kills towards this bot side again, despite the fact that WE had themselves a great start. Things are starting to fall apart now that they are getting crushed on the bot side of the map, with Angel getting to the play and XiaoFang getting into the play as well. They're starting to stop this Blitzcrank and the Jhin being able to have a safe laning phase, and this is one of the worries. This team has started to fall apart once they have been given a lot of pressure towards the bot side of the map. Doesn't help that they're losing in the bot side river as well. This is kind of started by the over-aggression of Heng in that jungle, though. That's where the problem starts. It hasn't really stopped after that point.
It certainly hasn't. See Angel kind of styling a little bit on Lwandy in that previous play. There's Wayward doing decent in the CS department. Obviously, we talked about the push advantage that often Udyr can find up there. But now the Balmy Cinder's in, and the ability to just tank the wave, essentially, as Rek'Sai because of that sustain, it's a lot harder for Cube to just walk up and take tower plates on the Udyr like you can in matchups like the K'Sante, for example. It's just free plates all day long. Rek'Sai does a much better job of answering that pressure that Udyr's bringing to the top.
Yeah, the thing about Rek'Sai is that ever since the change to the... This is just... God, this is the thing about these two team compositions. You think you got a bit of time to speak? No.
The amount of respect you have to give to these hooks as a commentator.
Yeah. As we said, it's literally, you sat there, was like, do I have time to spend about 30 seconds talking about how actually Rek'Sai, since the changes, can do blah 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 about sustain and blah 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 about wave priority, when actually it's just one skill shot hits OMG, neurons activated, goes in for a full-on fight. I mean, I love it. It is just the difference between, in terms of how much respect you have to pay between, you know, maybe a team like one of our slower teams, maybe like an LNG earlier in the split, and these two right here, which are just, they're quite rabid today, Joe.
Yeah, and I'm loving it. I hope this is the whole series because I'm having a great time here in game number 1. And I'm glad that we're seeing WE firing back because one of my concerns coming into this series was that OMG would have a really strong early game. They managed to find some fights early on and kind of just run away from there. But it feels like both teams have found individual advantages. You can see gold difference only 500 apart as a hook lands. It's a clone though. Whoa, they get away with it.
They do. This is why Wukong is so annoying to play against in pro play. He basically gives you a get out of jail free card as long as your hands are on the keyboard and you got the reactions to match with it, because you can just go back from one of these big skill shots. You can make it a lot harder for Team WE to find their own game-changing hook. Dragon has spawned though. FoFo is towards the top side. What flashes have we got? We've got a lot of flashes. That means that OMG can pile on.
So many wards from WE that have not been cleared. One in Tri-Brush, one in Banana Brush, and one in the pit itself.
Stay looking for an ult. He is.
The flanking Jin, but the Talia answers it. Angel just punts him out of the play. There's a bit of long-range damage comes on through, but this will be Drake taken by OMG. And Angel just denying everything from Stay.
You know, I remember back in Season 5 when Jin was really mad at that. Or Season 6, whatever it was. It would have been about Season 6, I think it was. Back when we saw this champion so much, there were two schools of thoughts. Oh, you either throw a Bard ult on the Jin when he's ulting so he stops ulting, or you throw a Rumble ult on him so it just kills him, he burns alive. Stuff like that. Those are the kind of things, right? I've never seen someone just throw a Talia wall at him and say, here, throw another rock and stop him from ult. That's the first time I've seen this. That's great. I love it.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And if, oh, hang on, that's a route under the tower. Okay, Lantern is there. This is why you pick Thresh. Boys and girls at home, that's how you play Thresh. All of the Threshes I play with in solo queue, they're there autoing the tower instead of being ready to Lantern me. Watch Ppgod.
And this is why, you know, we've got to then kind of reassess. This is one of the first Threshes that we've seen in LPL. It's not the first. I think we saw like 1 or 2 other games of it, but it has been a rare pick in the meta so far. You have to really retrain your instincts because you can do multiple things with the Thresh. You stand behind your AD carry, especially if it's a Jinx with a Shiv, with the rockets maxed out. Very safe wave clear. Lantern goes through, you're never really getting on top of that Jinx. You need to be stood behind them though, and this is not where Ppgod is. They are going to get collapsed on. Is there a teleport from OMG coming?
I don't know, but it's a flash onto Abel. W should be available for Stay any second now. But Abel, I don't think there's a way out. There is! Because Ppgod is playing Thresh. The Lantern is perfect. Flashes for the extra distance, and he gets Abel out as well.
OMG had no teleports and no global on Angel. That was a very, very dangerous moment for them. XiaoFang might have found Heng here, though, and he is not with his team. Here comes the ults.
1v1 between the junglers. Heng, this is the second time he's caught precisely there in the jungle. This time he gets away after popping that ultimate. But Stay gets a little bit of time on this bot lane tower.
So that's some plates, and that's important because Stay has been forced off of a lot of CS in this early game. Has built up the Shiv now, and particularly being able to force out Abel of Ppgod from lane definitely helps them get towards that turret. So WE, you don't get themselves the power play that they wanted, but that's because Ppgod is on the Thresh Express. We talked about the Rek'Sai public transport system. Thresh, He's been ferrying around and being a chauffeur for a great many years. Ppgod and Abel, they've definitely been a duo which has been, they've flipped a couple of scenarios in bot side before. This one flips very much in their favor though. Clutch stuff.
Pretty incredible stuff. Honestly, Ppgod looks pretty clean so far on the Thresh. Definitely practiced on the pick. Stay trying to defend this tower. We'll be able to clear the wave. Has to just fully back off here from the threat. XiaoFang, obviously, you can see in the area as well. There was a very real chance of dive. He's able now pushing the next wave. I don't know if he'll go for a zap on that bush, but looks like that's not going to happen. The reset comes through from Stay, so he'll be fine. In the meantime, Heng gets up to the top side. We barely have talked about Grubs since there's been so much going on. It was 4-2. In the end, a rocket across the map. Oh, it's a little bit too close for comfort, but WE do get the Herald in the end.
Yeah, very nearly the Wild Turtle ult steal from the Jinx. And yeah, no, we've basically not talked about the Grubs. I mean, we were expecting some topside pressure, but I think OMG, you know, Abel, Ppgod, they picked in this Jinx Thresh, which is a duo which will scale very, very well and has some ability to play around early game as well if they get some gold in hand. It really feels like with the change in crit items, maybe we see a change in bot lane meta as well. We will have to track that as things go on. We do have Ppgod on the roam though, heading towards topside. Very hard to gank a Rek'Sai though. Can't really do much there though when the tunnel's down, so he's just going to be sat there getting vision and not much else. His bot lanes now go towards mid lane. They've migrated back into towards this mid side of the map.
This Jhin build as well, a bit different to like a lot of the year. This year Jhin have pretty much just been going lethality, going for like Dark Harvest, trying to snowball. The Shiv build, I mean, Shiv's being built on just almost every AD carry right now. If you can build crit, and especially with the IE buff, it makes it even more tempting. It just gives you so much wave clear on the Jhin. That's one of Jin's strengths anyway as a champion, and really buffs that up on top of it. This is a build that kind of appeared in Korean solo queue a couple of weeks ago, and people haven't looked back.
So I think it's there was also Nymeara, like Master / Challenger one trick. I'm trying to remember exactly what rank they are. But basically, they were sat there going like, yeah. So ever since the stats changed between like Stormrazor and Shiv and stuff like this, it's just way better in terms of if you're going to build an energized item, you may as well build Shiv. And because the stats on it are so good right now, why wouldn't you buy it? They've tried to take power out of the proc and put it into the stats as well. Means that it's much easier to build that one. Again, just that clone gives you just that one freebie to get away from the hook.
So both AD carriers able to clear the wave simultaneously, but the Herald slammed down mid lane for WE. Gives them priority. Drake is up on the map here. Can Herald charge through the wall? Yes, it can. I've never seen anyone try and wall a Herald before, and I really wasn't sure how that was going to end.
So I think as it starts winding up for its animation, that's it. The arrow is flown at that point. If you can stop it before that point, great. The only thing which will stop it is something like a Bard ult, which go into stasis on the tower. The dragon is up and a hook lands.
This one's important. It's Ppgod that's caught, but he's still got a bit of HP to work with. Survives the spiral in spare. Kurt Call trying to snipe out the backline, but Cube, he could soak this all day long. Ppgod's taking the Drake, though. He's just about survived, but that was a little bit too close for comfort.
Oh god, and it all starts with a hook. It isn't onto XiaoFang this time. It's from Fog of War, and it catches Ppgod. So dangerous. Teleports back into mid lane. Ppgod cannot do the same. Now, without the Thresh there, you don't have the Lantern to reposition this Jinx. We're already kind of playing a little bit close to what could happen with those get excited procs coming through from Jinx as well. They get away with it. They're going to get themselves a dragon, and that's very important for them. It allows them to, again, try and play the wider map a little bit more and potentially look for a bit more vision control, look for another hook again, rather than buying in towards a big soul fight later into the game if OMG were to have gotten that dragon. If they start stacking dragons, they feel like OMG just buy in towards team fights to stop WE, be able to play it as patiently and from such range.
OMG opting to just try and play opposite, try and trade for a tower in the top side. I don't know if they can quite finish it off. It looks like they might be able to, but kind of running out of minions. Ppgod making a play. Spider-Man's onto the Crux and wants a bit more, but he's hooked once again. It's not a huge amount of damage to punish him. That Aftershock has paid so much value across the course of this game.
And he's got the Merc Treads as well. Makes it a lot easier for him to kind of get himself the Aftershock after he's been hooked. He'll get a little more tenacity. Get onto the better resistances beyond that point. While all this happens though, OMG, they're hard forcing towards top side. They've lost mid lane because Jhin can push in that wave so easily with the shift build that we were talking about just before. very, very easy to get control of minion waves. But on the top side, though, you have another great wave clear carry in FoFo on this way. With this, though, able cancels the back of state. That might be quite important because if Jin gets a bad reset, that potentially means
wait a second,
you can get yourself a better point. Yeah, this could be another stop again.
He didn't see the ward, and then wall knocks him backwards. Angel's queued in the wrong direction, and a flash over the wall with the second cycle over stay, still surviving. If Angel just queues forwards, it's a kill, and instead it could be a pick up to XiaoFang, the spiraling despair, followed by a curtain call. The clone buys a bit of space and time, and here comes Heng on the backside of the play. Stun comes on through, and WE come out on top.
OMG overforce a pick onto stay. They go a little too far. If you could have flashed forward with Angel, just throw the Q in the right direction. Stay would have died, and that would have been a big opening for OMG. Not to be, though. WE, they stand their ground, and they save their AD carry. OMG left wanting after that point. Let's go watch this again. So this is the first reset stop from the Jinx ults. He's recalling on Vision. Of course, when you're playing around pushing lanes, stopping backs is very, very important. You stop people getting back onto the map. And he goes at recalls on another ward, on the same ward, rather than the first time. But yeah, it's a really good punish at start. This is a really good angle, but Angel just ends up queuing the wrong way. I wonder whether he hopped off a little too early on the wall and he wanted to queue behind him anyway. I wonder if that's what he wanted to do, try and body block him from flashing over the wall. If that's the case, he hopped off too soon. Either way, the Q didn't hit the target. Stay lives.
Angel forced to flash to the backside of the plate as well. Yeah, me too, buddy. Me too. Me too. I don't really know what's going on. Honestly, this game has been entertaining to watch, but it has been messy from both teams. Like, this is not clean League of Legends. This, I mean, honestly, for me, this is the perfect game to start off LPL playoffs because it's been wacky, it's been chaotic, but it has been so much fun so far.
And it's also been a style of game which I think largely favors WE in terms of what we've come to know these teams for. OMG want the big grouped up team fights. And you can see that WE, they're not giving them to them easily. They have a lot of way to respond to the quick picks because they have long range carries and they have Lwandy on the roam. Whereas with WE, with Lwandy on the roam, can kind of set up vision control. They can wave clear very well with Jin and with Wei. It means that they can play around their long range combos and play towards like playing around their roaming kind of play style, which has suited them so well.
Nice clone from Xiao. He's been good on the reaction so far on that Wukong. You expect that, like he is a professional player at the end of the day. But good job so far there. Obviously, State. Hang on a second.
Now, though.
That's a route coming on through. Lwandy gets the knock on XiaoFang, but he's the one in trouble instead. Abel has so much damage to finish that kill, and now the resets onto Abel as Stay will just be chased down. Second kill for OMG, just as Baron spawns.
Feels like it's like one of those samurai movies. If you strike first, the response is what kills you, not the initial play. Wayward is on a flank, but he needs to be very careful here that his team doesn't get collapsed on without him being able to influence the play.
Heng forced away on the top side. Baron does reset a bit, gets a huge chunk of health back. Wayward maybe has overstepped on this one, honestly. He's extremely alone on the play. But so far, OMG, they're not turning around to find the fight. Wayward goes in, he's flayed backwards and hooked on in. He's just not tanky enough. And the rest of WE not keen on the play. That should be Baron. OMG staying on the objective as Cube tries to zone Heng away. He wants to get into the pit. It's on 1,000, but OMG get it in the end. It's absolute chaos on the Rift as Angel kites it out. And OMG get everything that they could want. And they even get a bonus kill on FoFo at the end as well.
We thought these games were a little slow this year. We were worried that the LPL might have lost something about itself. I am very pleased to inform you all, we have not missed a beat. WOMG Game 1 of playoffs for LPL 2024. We're flipping it, we're fighting. I love this style of gameplay where we just throw caution to the wind. And now after that Baron, it really feels like OMG just buying up an Infinity Edge for Abel as well are going to start on the Afterburner. So one thing about this play, XiaoFang doesn't have the W at the start of the play, and the hook takes the monkey out of Wei's ultimate. So that means that doesn't hit. No spiraling despair. Miscommunication between mid laner and support. That's actually a really huge play. That spiraling despair hits a huge amount of AoE damage and slow, but after that point you have to then try and pick up the pieces. But OMG, they have themselves the numbers advantage. And you've got to dive into the Thresh. Diving into a Thresh is hellish from LA champions. Ppgod picking up this champion, getting big value out of it in team fights.
It's not just the Thresh either. Like, when you think about Heng trying to carry these fights individually, there's a Thresh protecting Abel, Angel like, Talia is just the worst mage to try and get onto as a melee character. Not to mention, you've got a Wukong spinning around the entire time as well. It's going to be very difficult to hit the backline of OMG as Heng, unless they misstep or Lwandy finds a big hook. That's the way in.
So, OMG, Baron buff up and available for OMG. They need to be careful of hooks still. They need to be careful that WE do have themselves a lot of long-range follow-up. You have one Lantern to help someone auto-attack the tower for a bit. They'll have to click that Lantern away from the skill shot. Dragon has spawn though, so they push up some waves. They're going to get themselves to this Dragon. It won't be soul point for them. Certainly their second one of the game. They'll take that one happily as now WE, they need to scratch their heads and do a bit of thinking. How are you going to organize this game? Because you can't really stop OMG from death falling now. They have enough gold, they have the core items all their carry, so you don't have to be farming every single lane on the map. WE need to force this phalanx to break somehow so they can get themselves one of those pixies.
5,000 gold lead for OMG. Nice wall used by Angel just to create space and secure tier 2 tower in that bottom side. So now slight tower advantage. That's the fourth one of the game for OMG. Nice bit of gold into their pockets. And speaking of gold, look at where all of their gold is as a team. Both carries 3 and 0. See 3 items already finished for Abel. Angel not far off himself. As I don't know if did he buy when he reset there, or I'm not sure. Not 100% sure.
He bought up an amp tome. I am not entirely sure in regards to that. The thing is, Shiv is a bit of a fake item in some ways. It's so cheap as well.
Yeah,
it's
true.
Really annoying. I think one of the nerfs coming in later is the fact that Shiv is getting more expensive, so that's one of the nerfs to it. They've just decided, right, this item cannot be a stat stick for 80 carries at one item, which means that technically Abel, though he's on 3 items, the amount of gold is not dissimilar. Of course, then Abel also had 4 turret plates from boss side as well, I believe, so he'll have gotten some extra bonus from that. Anyway, pushing back up. Stay needs to be really careful. There's a chance for a wall right over the back. He might have to blow his flash. He needs to be very, very careful here, as that wall can blow that summoner very, very easily.
So just trying to buy space. OMG pretty sizably ahead. WE thanking their lucky stars that they got those 2 early Drakes, honestly, because that could have been a potential win condition for OMG with this lead now to just control these neutrals. And you know, will be. But takes a little bit longer for that to actually be a win condition. As TP out of there from Wayward.
There was no way with that. He was never there. You know, you didn't see anything. No one saw it. You didn't see it, Joe. I didn't see it. He was never there.
I guess not. I guess not. He's certainly not there anymore. I don't know if the Scry's Bloom spotted him, whether or not that TP is known. Oh, I guess he TP'd to the minion wave, right? So they would have seen the TP anyway. But either way, Wayward now not going to be able to have much presence in a side lane. Speaking of, he is currently still in that side lane that he TP'd to. But Angel has TP here. If something happened on the opposite side of the map. Obviously, Drake not up for another 2.5 minutes, but theoretically, at least, could be an advantage for OMG.
I'm just thinking about the depth and like strength of a full public transport skin line. We have Talia in here as well. We could have like monorail Talia. Can you imagine that? We already have, you know, we've got the train driver, the choo-choo orb. We have that. No, we've got that one. We've got like all of the tunnel system Rek'Sai. We've got Talia with the wall. Every single global champion could have that. We could have like airdrop Galio. The possibilities, I tell you, are endless. And I wish I could focus on something else right now, but this has captured me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who can be the bus driver. That's the big question now.
Scion.
Yeah, I mean, Scion was my first thought, but...
Oh, but he already has the train from
He's a bit too industrial, really, for a bus.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a wet noodle fight. Heng does... I say wet noodle fight. Heng's kind of getting wrecked by Cube there. Needs to try and get out of dodge as the rest of OMG have charged on forwards to try and find him. Heng gets out with his life, but I love the aggression from Cube.
Yeah, he said that. They're like, well, I've got the global. I've got the monorail coming out from the top side of the map. Surely there's no way they can respond to that. You can see that this is one of the problems with Blitzcrank on the other side too, where, oh gee, they can play fast and loose. They can throw ultimates at you like that, Talia. We've already got a decent amount of cooldown reduction coming through, so it's not... And with level 16 as well being hit, the next time that ultimate's cast, longer range and lower cooldown. So, Blitzcrank doesn't have the same degree of agency that they had in the very first few minutes of the game, where they managed to get them isolated, well, separated away from their lane, rather.
Yeah.
WWE, they have to play with Blitzcrank on vision. This is the worst thing.
Look at Heng, though. He's managed to find an angle to get a pretty huge flank on this Jax. If he can get onto Abel, we talked about how hard it is for him to close the gap onto Abel, but if he's on a flank to start with, it makes it a lot easier. XiaoFang chunked as well, as WWE are very separated in this fight, trying to make this flank happen for Heng. He kind of needs OMG to walk into him, which it's possible they do. Reset's coming on through as FoFo on the other side
Wayward!
of the play. And
Here we go!
Flash in for the counter-strike, but they're so deep, and there's just no follow-up. W8, they finally pull the trigger, but the gun explodes in their hands.
Oh, WE, they try and force the fight, but they're going into the death ball of OMG. And the pylons have been constructed now, and they pile onto this Baron afterwards. Jungler down, top lane down. You're waiting on what? FoFo to do some miracle magic?
Oh, the hook is huge, though. This is an opportunity. There's a pick onto Angel as OMG still on the Baron for the time being, still a man advantage for the time being, but FoFo and Stay, the carries, moving into the pit to try and get this damage down. Lwandy steps on forwards, try and find a hook, try and threaten on the 50-50. It's taken as now the flash is forward, and OMG, they grab the Baron, and they want the fight as well. FoFo running to the wrong side of the map, and OMG, they maintain their lead, they maintain their control, and they deny everything from WE.
FoFo, will he live to tell the tale? Yes, he will. But it is a pretty torrid tale indeed. WE, they've spent the last few minutes trying to break apart this battle formation of OMG, the Death Ball. And they think they've got it. With the AoE knockups of Rek'Sai coming through, you think, okay, with the Titanic Hydra, maybe this will be enough. It's not enough. Too much gold on Abel. Too much heal power from the Thresh as well. Redemption, the shield coming through from the W, which is maxed out in mid-game as well, and the hook. Trying to get to this Jinx is absolutely hellish. And yeah, you do have the teleport back in, which is punished with a good hook. You could argue it's not a great teleport. Just teleport onto the control ward instead. It'll be a lot safer. You don't have a Banshees. But still, it's not enough even after that point, because Abel is doing so much work behind his front line. It really is on FoFo to find some miracle magic. And even he can't quite get it done, despite the fact that he escapes.
Yeah, FoFo just forced away. And that's OMG getting not only a second Baron for themselves, but a third Drake as well. 1 point away from an Ocean Soul. And when your only win condition is trying to like burst someone out and get that initial damage down, the sustain of an Ocean Soul, granted it's no Mountain Soul in that situation, but I think OMG will be happy to have it if they can get that last Drake. And it does feel now OMG are poised in game number 1. They've got such a huge gold advantage. But on top of that, these last few fights all feel like they've been very OMG-sided.
They have been, and you know, the problem is that OMG have just been able to sit as 5 people. There's nothing stopping them from going around as this fully kind of armored shell. WWE, they tried to pull it apart, but they don't even have themselves global advantage. They don't have a split push advantage, which should normally end up doing good work here. And now with the, as you were saying, the Ocean Soul potentially on the table too, even if you get some poke out with FoFo and Stay, that's also not going to be that easy to do because it's going to regen, and that's not very good. You got Redemption as well. Knight's Vow and Redemption. How do you even dive onto Abel? You know, it's very, very hard to get through all of this shielding, and redirection of damage from the Knight's Vow as well. Here comes the Death Ball again. Can they even defend their turrets?
The wall comes through from Angel to set up for the siege. Keeping our eyes on Lwandy. If he can get a big hook, maybe something can happen, but it's Wayward that's hooked. Ppgod starts the fight the way he needs to go on, and Cube is just invincible in the backline. Spiraling Despair, can't even finish XiaoFang. He dodges the lightning. Not even Zeus can smite this team. Cube pulled back in, but that's just not the target that you want to be hitting. And OMG, not only do they survive, they take the inhib tower, and now they're pushing for more.
And if they give up a single kill more than that, the resets would have been pretty much game-ending beyond this point. This Death Ball, this 5-man unit is absolutely indestructible to Team W right now. They're throwing hooks in, but it's onto the Udyr.
Cube is like, I am more than happy for you to hook me, buddy. He wants to be in the fight. XiaoFang forced to Cyclone as Heng gets a bit of damage down, just trading back and forth between the junglers here as OMG. Now on the retreat. They got that top inhib. That's all they were looking for. Now they can back away, and it looks like they will get away with it as well.
So now they get themselves a chance to reset, spend even more gold. They have earned 3.2k from that Baron power play last coming through from it. If it wasn't bad enough already, we're getting towards the point where, you know, Abel has a Zeal inventory going up towards the fire cannon, so the first order attack comes from longer range. One of the big things about Zeal items is that you get so much move speed from it as well. And XiaoFang, this dude, I mean, I don't know how often he watches the movie Dodgeball, but I think that we need to add in, like, you know, we've got the duck, dodge, dip, dodge, and dive. Now we also have, like, W as well. It's not actually the D, but we have duck, dodge, dive, and W. You're going forward onto stay.
Stay, taking those 4Ds into account here. He's dodging everything, but you can't dodge Udyr's auto attacks. He goes down under the tower in the end, and turns out he could not dodge a wrench.
Nope, he couldn't. Wayward can. As the flash comes forward from Ppgod. A bit of it. He was feeling himself there, but all the same, OMG, they have been in control of this game ever since WE messed up around OMG's own jungle. It's felt like they have never let go of the accelerator. They have no way to get onto the carries. They're going to get forced into the mid lane as well. There's no Baron buff here. It's not like these are super minions coming through either from this mid lane. But OMG, they've just played around their strength in numbers and forcing the ultimates forwards as well to catch people out of position.
WE, I mean, it's the way they would have wanted to go, you know.
What do you mean?
Crushed by a slot machine. Yeah, it's.
Okay, I get it now.
You know, it didn't really. It was a brute force reference to say the very least, but a reference nonetheless. Yeah, this has been kind of tough to watch in the late game from WE. I like that they're still trying to make these plays, but honestly, I can't remember the last time Lwandy got a hook and it felt important. You know,
yeah.
I feel like there's too many. Like Ppgod with his aftershock from the early game has been such a problem for Lwandy, but then we've got later on, and then XiaoFang clones every hook, and if not, it's hitting Cube, and it's like, you know what who did in the middle of the team, so it just feels like I was excited for the Blitzcrank at the start of this game. I am no longer excited for the Blitzcrank.
Yeah. Really felt like as soon as Lwandy was kind of forced to play on Vision, kept in his lane, all of OMG's front line got really tanky. You're sat there as a Blitzcrank thinking, well, it's a 1 in a million. You know, you get Abel once in a blue moon, maybe. You need to flash for it more likely than not, and even then, you know, he's got himself a Lantern, Redemption, everything. It's a full build Jinx that can play from fire cannon range as well. This is not the game to be a Blitzcrank from this kind of deficit. You need to be ahead of the game. W failed to do that. They're onto the Baron. That might help them. Can they use the Fog of War right now to get one of those unsuspecting picks? It's going to be hard.
It didn't work the first time, but maybe this time. No, Angels found him, but now a rocket flies in, OMG. They just wiped WE. They make it look easy. Wayward diving onto the backside. Abel didn't even take damage. Now Heng trying to cut off the wave, but they've got 2 minions, and I think 2 minions is all they might need on this one. Oh, never mind. Forget the mid lane minions. There's supers in the top lane. Angel will push this one in. A dominant game number 1 from OMG, and I love the willingness to put that front foot forward and take this game from WE, not just wait for it to happen. Fantastic start to the series from OMG.
OMG crushed game 1. There was a brief concern after First Blood went down in bot side. We thought, okay, Team WE, Blitzcrank with a kill in his lane first off. Maybe they can do something with that. But it really felt like WE, with that one invade onto Raptors from Heng, really ended up throwing their early game plan under the bus. I feel like that's where the game fell apart, because you lose that play in the follow-up play as well. You lose another kill on bot side River. Beyond that point, you've thrown away your bot side lead. Yeah,
felt like a tough early game, honestly, after what started so well. Angel punished incredibly hard on that invade, and the snowball started turning from there. The Blitzcrank as well, lackluster to say the least. We're going to jump into a break and find out what WE have to answer